Today, President William Ruto, for the second time, defended the Adani deal publicly. This was during his launch of the Menengai branch in Nakuru, where he was publicly defending it and saying that it's a good private-public partnership deal. So therefore, President William Ruto is clear in his mind that the Adani deal, it's a deal that he has chosen, and that as Kenya, we have to live with it. First of all, let's talk about Adani itself. How did we get to know Adani as Kenyans? Adani, including me actually personally, I came to learn about Adani after the allegations that William Ruto was selling our airport to an Indian firm called Adani. So later on, the government, which was represented by Musalia Mudavadi, came up publicly actually and spoke about it and said there's nothing like that, and that in case such a thing happens, the Kenyans will be involved. So therefore, that's how I personally came to know about Adani. After a few months, a few weeks, we realized through Senator Nyonka that a certain young man had sent him and shared a document showing that Adani deal were taking over JKIA. Actually, it was being sold to the Adani people, Adani company, actually, they didn't even talk of leasing but selling it. Senator Nyonka spoke fluently about this. He actually echoed it to all Kenyans and we all understood. Now, later on, the discussions started in various media platforms in the country, and it was clear later on that the Adani people were taking over JKIA for 30 years as a lease, and then an extra 20 years owning some percentages. That's what is being said outside here. So in short, that's the simple history about the Adani company. Now, in the president's defense, there are a few things that captured my attention from what he was saying. President William Ruto said that Adani deal is a good replacement for the taxes that are supposed to be increased or the loans that the government is supposed to borrow. In short, the president was saying instead of us borrowing or increasing taxes, Adani deal will invest its money in the Kenyan energy sector. He didn't talk about JKI, and I don't want to talk about it here today. So I'll simply just discuss or analyze the issues to do with the energy sector that they took over, including Ketraco. Now, President William Ruto categorically said that Adani deal is good because it has prevented Kenya from borrowing or increasing taxes, the government increasing taxes to its people. When I heard that statement, it was I basically summed it to one simple word: blackmailing. The government is blackmailing us as a country, or Ruto is blackmailing us using taxes and loans. What came to my mind, what is the major problem, what is the major problem that Kenyans are talking about? What do we have as a problem in our governance? The most serious challenge we have, it is corruption, where every government entity budgets for corruption. Every deal done, there's part of corruption that is there. That is basically what is affecting the country right now. I don't want to go further and discuss about that, but before I do so, let me take you on a simple journey here. Now, when we had the Gen Z protests in the country, the Gen Zs and the millennials in the country were talking about one simple thing. The thing we were talking about, it is proper governance where we have accountability and transparency. Adani deal, it is one of the companies or one of the deals that actually came up, and it was a good test for William Ruto if he had really taken into account what the youths of this country were talking about. But to make matters worse, despite Kenyans talking about the issues to do with transparency, still William Ruto did not see it as important. Why am I saying so? There were so many questions that were raised by Kenyans about the Adani deals, and none of them has been answered very well by either the Minister of Transport, neither the Minister of Energy, and not even Ruto himself. None of these people have come out publicly to speak well about the Adani deals. Instead, they are leaving some details hidden. And that is not in line with what the Constitution of Kenya wants, or even what the Kenyans themselves want from the government. Now, in our push or call for transparency, some of the questions that we're asking the government, it is why is it that it is a secret idea? It's a secret venture for the government. Why are they putting the Adani deal so private, so secretive, that so discreet that nobody should know much more details about it? Some of the questions were coming here. It is that when was the deal advertised to Kenyans or even to the world? If it was advertised, how many companies came on board? And how come, if these other companies came on board, how is it that it's Adani that won? What is this that Adani had, these other companies did not have? If Adani qualified in JKIA, how come they're the only company again that qualified in Ketraco, or in the energy sector, let me call it that way? How is it that it's the only Adani deal that was taken and the rest of the companies in the world were rejected? Other questions Kenyans are asking, it is that why Adani, yet there are other stories about Adani, that Adani has been banned from carrying out business in various countries, including Australia, big and first world countries. Why is it that Kenya accepted a company that has what you call madoadoa? Why is it that we can't take it as it is actually US is after the Adani, Australia, the UK? Why is it that now, as Kenya, we are taking them to be so clean and qualified to handle such critical departments in this country? Because the department of JKIA, it's not an easy thing to give anyone in this country, anywhere in the world. But Adani company was given the deal, and William Ruto does not care about that. Therefore, those questions were not answered by either Ruto, government spokesperson, or the cabinet secretaries involved. And up to now, those are the things that Kenyans are asking about. People are even saying some of the political activities have been happening in the country. It was simply to divert the country from the Adani deals, which Kenyans were complaining about immensely. Now, one thing I have to tell you is this. The major problem that has been keeping Kenyans uneasy, it is the issue to do with corruption in the energy sector. Corruption in the energy sector. Anything that was supposed to be done in the energy sector, it brought one simple expectation: having the cost of energy going down. Because we all know the cost of energy is going up because of the corruption in the energy sector. Having the cost of energy going down, where we can buy our units at a cheaper price. Because it is not making sense I pay 500 shillings to get 24 units. Yet we used to do the same thing before, we get almost 40 of them. It is challenging to us as a country, as citizens, that our country is experiencing governance that keeps on increasing the cost of living. Therefore, the expectations out of Kenyans is that when is the Adani deal going to reduce the cost of living? Because right now it is very clear that the Adani deal has already been done and now they're taking over Kenya. Are they going to reduce the cost of electricity? If they're going to reduce, by when? Another thing we are asking, is it going to be like we are not going to have frequent blackouts? Because one thing we know about this country, it is the blackouts cause so many losses to so many big and small companies or enterprises. And these losses are not always accounted for by the government. Someone having a business, running a business in Kisii town, for instance, this person eventually needs to pay rent, tax, but still the electricity can get lost for all year, all day, and these kind of a blackout can always cause huge losses which are not easily recovered even in a month, 2 or 3. So therefore, that is my analysis about Adani deal. If this is the first time you are watching our videos, please make sure to subscribe, like and comment, because that is the best support you can always give. Mukwa Times. Please let me see on my comment section what you think about the Adani deal. See you next time for more videos.